start the presentation. My name is Muhammad Qadir. I am in Jubaili Bureau's UAE branch. I am taking care of the technical division, uh, not only the UAE branch, but also supporting our other branches. So going ahead, I will give you a quick brief about our company. We established 43 years ago, uh, doing diesel generator business. We are now in 10 countries. We have 3 manufacturing plants for the diesel generators. We have 29 branches and service centers. On the group level, we have 1,341 employees. We have 70 dealers and distributors. Our vision as a group is to be a pioneer in developing conventional and renewable energy solutions. Our mission is to be trusted by our customers to provide reliable energy solutions delivered through the expertise of our dedicated teams and the support of our global partners. As I said, Jubaili Bros started in 1977. Our first branch and our headquarters is in Lebanon. 1992, we started the UAE branch. In the year after, we have established branches in multiple other countries. In 2017, when Jubaili Bros had completed its 40th year in business, we started the solar division. In 2020, we have established a branch in Pakistan as well. So the solar division works on 6 key pillars for supporting our EPC customer. The number 1, product supply. Number 2, training, such as webinar, seminar, and one-to-one trainings. We provide engineering support for the projects where our equipments are used. We provide leads because as a big organization, we also receive inquiries, which we forward it to the companies that we work with. We also provide referral to available finance. And the 6th pillar is after sales support, which could be in terms of warranty or in terms of any issue on the project side to clarify things. So our strategic partners and the components that we sell are Huawei FusionSolar inverter and accessories. Number 2, we have Lomax mounting structure, which is an aluminum mounting structure, a South African brand. Number 3, we have tier 1 solar modules, which we can supply. In number 4, we have PV diesel hybrid controller, which we can supply. Going forward, we will be expanding our product portfolio as well. We are value-added partner and certified service partner of Huawei FusionSolar. As a certified service partner, we can provide you technical support, after-sales support. We have certified engineers from Huawei for the field. In 2019, we sold 1,396 inverters, which amounts to 69 megawatt. In 2020, till last month, we had done 93 megawatt, which is around 1,804 inverters, and we are targeting to be closing the year at 120 megawatt. Coming to today's presentation, FusionSolar CNI is smart PV plant application scenarios. I will quickly go through the product portfolio, the CNI sector. Number 2, I will speak of a small scale CNI application, which is single inverter scenario. Number 3, I will speak of medium scale CNI application, which is apply PV plant with 10 inverter or below. Number 4, I will be speaking about larger scale CNI applications. Number 5, I will speak about special applications of AFCI and partial optimization. So FusionSolar CNI range of inverters up to 100 kilowatt. These are all the low voltage inverters categorized as commercial and industrial range. Within this, we have four different segments, four different type of inverter. The first range is mentioned on the left, 12, 15, and 20 kilowatt, which are currently available as M0 version. And we will soon have the next generation of inverter as M2, which will still have the 2 MPPT and 4 inputs with the local commissioning. So now I just want you guys to focus on these local commissioning device and communication, because when I will be speaking in my next slide about the application scenarios, so I will be bringing your attention to these 2 points again, which is the local commissioning and the remote communication. So for the 12 to 20 kilowatt, the local commissioning is the built-in Wi-Fi. So you do not need any external device. It is the built-in Wi-Fi inside the inverter, which you can use to commission the inverter. For the remote communication, these inverters can communicate through the dongle WLAN, which is a Wi-Fi device, and also this device has the fast Ethernet communication option. So either of the two can be used. Number 2, in terms of remote communication, you have the option of using dongle 4G if you are somewhere in a remote area and you don't have a Wi-Fi access. So you can have a SIM card, put it into the dongle 4G into monthly internet data package, and then you can send data through that SIM as well to the FusionSolar cloud. Number 3rd option is the SmartLogger 3000A. So these are all optional devices, not must. If you need the remote monitoring, that is the device that you must use. AFCI, the new inverter and the old inverter both have this feature. The PID recovery will be the feature with M2 version. Ripple control interface is also feature with both the M0 and M2 version. Coming to the second class, which is Sun 2036 KTL for Middle East and Africa. This is a 4 MPPT inverter having 8 inputs. For the local commissioning, this inverter comes with USB WLAN adapter. This adapter is part of inverter package and is free of cost. And communication wise, for remote monitoring, you have the option of using a SmartLogger 3000A that can communicate via RS485 or ACMS. The AFCI, which is R-file circuit interruption feature, is an optional feature, and if you need that, you have to request. The third column, Sun 2050 and 60 KTL M0 version. This is a 6 MPPT 12 string input inverter. For local commissioning, again, for this inverter, it comes with a USB WLAN adapter. For remote monitoring, you can use either SmartLogger 3000A or the SmartLogger 4G. So the fourth class of CMI inverter is Sun 2100 KTL-M1. This is a 10 MPPT inverter and with 20 string input. For local commissioning, you have USB WLAN adapter. For communication to do remote monitoring, you can have either a SmartLogger 3000A or a SmartLogger 4G. AFCI is optional model coming with the new version, and PID recovery is also a built-in feature with the newer version. The newer version of 100 KTL will be introduced by the end of this year. For communication devices, we have WLAN-FE. These can be used for up to 10 inverters. This is a plug-and-play USB interface device, which is compatible from 3 kilowatt 3-phase to 20 kilowatt 3-phase inverters. The Smart Dongle 4G is kind of a similar plug-and-play device, which you can use up to 10 inverters for remote monitoring. And this is compatible from 3 to 20 kilowatt inverters, and also with the 50, 60, and 100 kilowatt inverters, this can be used. Smart Logger 3000A, it can connect up to 80 inverters. Communication to Smart Logger 3000A happens via Modbus TCP with to the router, and with the inverter it speaks over RS485. It supports AC bus, Ethernet, 4G, and the user interface for the Smart Logger is Web UI, and it has a built-in Wi-Fi as well. The fourth type of device is USB adapter 2000-C, which is a WLAN adapter Wi-Fi device, and it connects directly to the inverter with the 36, 50, 60, and 100 kilowatt sizes, and you can connect to these devices via application such as Sun 2000 application. Power meters. On the left, you can see there is a smart power sensor. This is a Huawei power sensor. It communicates via RS485, connects directly to the inverter or to the smart logger. It comes with a class 1 accuracy, and it comes with the current transformer included. If you are not using a Huawei power sensor or power meter, alternatively there is third-party smart power meter. The list is given at the end of this presentation. This presentation will also be shared to you guys after this webinar. So the third-party smart power meter list encloses the meters which are compatible with the Smart Logger 3000A in the Appendix I, and there is another list which encloses compatible smart power meter for 50, 60, and 100 KTL in Appendix II. Appendix II will be the models of power meter which you can use when you are using a 4G dongle. Okay, now the monitoring, or you can say local commissioning platforms. FusionSolar app you can use for local commissioning and remote monitoring. We have Web UI, which is the web interface for your smart logger. We can do configuration and commissioning. The third thing is the FusionSolar Smart Peer Management System. For Middle East and Africa, the website name is sg5.fusionsolar.huawei.com. FusionSolar Smart Peer Management System is a remote monitoring peer platform. These all platforms are free, and you can do real-time energy flow and energy balance of the PV system. And you can on the web platform sg5.fusionsolar.huawei.com, you have the additional feature of doing a smart IV curve diagnosis, both for the FusionSolar app and the management system on the web. You can also have the demo site, and if you want to see how this looks, you can download the application and see, or you can go to the website and see how the owner PV platform will look like. Sun 2000 app, Netico, and third-party management system. Sun 2000 app is used when you are using the USB WLAN adapter for local commissioning, and also like firmware upgrade of the inverter to know what is the current status of the inverter, or if there is an alarm, what is the alarm status, and that all. The Netico 1000S management system is also available, but only if you want to have a local server, not Huawei server. So currently the only available PV platform monitoring is FusionSolar, but unless you want to have a local server and you want to do monitoring, you cannot use the FusionSolar. For local server, local data storage, and monitoring of your PV platform, you have still the option of using the native 1000S management systems, which comes with a premium. And alternatively, you can also monitor the Huawei inverters data on third-party management system, such as Meteo Control, SolarLock, and that all. And you can do the communication through Modbus TCP to transfer the data to third-party monitoring server via Smart Logger 3000A or Smart Dongle. Alternatively, there is an additional feature inside the Smart Logger of FTP push function, through which you can directly send data to the server of third party. Coming to small scale CNI application with a single inverter scenario. So this is a summary, and single inverter can be a 12, 15, 17, 20, 36 kilowatt size, 50, 60, or 100 kilowatt. So coming to the first column, the inverter, there can be different scenarios. Scenario 1, you can either use 12, 15, 17, or 20 kilowatt, either the existing version M0 or the newer version M2. The second scenario is the 36 kTL, the third scenario 50 and 60, and the fourth scenario is the 100 kTL. Let me use my pointer, maybe. So when you are using 12 to 20 kilowatt size inverter, the communication device is preferably in WLAN-FE device if you have internet Wi-Fi available. Alternatively, you can have the 4G dongle and also a smart, but which is not mentioned here. For a smart power sensor, you can use Huawei's own power sensor, and the management platform is FusionSolar. These last three columns, which mention the AFCI, PID, and ripple control, since these were briefed initially with the inverter feature, so we will not be discussing a lot on these three ones. The second inverter tab, which is 36 kTL, communication can happen through Smart Logger 3000A, and the power meter list is given in Annex 1. For remote monitoring, there is FusionSolar monitoring platform. The third case, 50 and 60 kTL, you have the option of using either 4G dongle or the Smart Logger 3000A. If you're using dongle 4G, the compatible power meter list is given in Annex 2 at the end of this presentation. And with the 3000A, the compatible power meter list is given in Annex 1. FusionSolar is the monitoring platform for all these scenarios. 100 kTL, again, you have the option of communication through 4G dongle or a Smart Logger 3000. Similarly, the power meter is common for all these scenarios, either when you're using 4G, referring to Annex 2, and when you're using Smart Logger 3000A, referring to Annex 1. So this is a schematic of a small scale CNI application. When you are having some 2012, 15, 17, or 20 kilowatt size inverter in the system, I will have a lot of these slides, including schematics. I would like you guys to concentrate on 4 key things. One is the inverter, what feature it provides. The next, what is the monitoring platform for this, and what is the local monitoring platform. For the remotely, this is the monitoring platform, and for local commissioning, this is the platform, and the third thing is the power meter. So these are the 4 things that you need to ponder upon: inverter, local commissioning device, remote monitoring, and the power meter. So in this scenario, if you want to do local commissioning, you will be using the FusionSolar app, and you will be using the built-in Wi-Fi of this inverter. So when you are close to this inverter, if you turn on your mobile Wi-Fi, you will see the internal Wi-Fi of this inverter to which you can connect, and the initial power password is normally change me. And for remote monitoring, you have optional WLAN or Ethernet communication to FusionSolar Smart View Management System, and the device can be a WLAN-FE dongle or a 4G dongle. So you have the option of connecting smart power sensor from Huawei to it, and also in some areas, not in the regions that we cover, electricity authority might ask you to install an inverter with the built-in radio ripple control receiver, so that the grid authority can actually curtail the power whenever they want based on the grid saturation. So AFCI is also a function that can be used. And PID recovery is also a built-in feature which will make sure your PV modules, if is having a PID, should be disinfected every night. So commercial scale, again, when we have the option of using 36 kTL, the only inverter. So for local commissioning, you have a smart logger 3000A, and you will be connecting the smart logger via Ethernet cable, connecting it to the Ethernet port on the smart logger. And alternatively, you can have the FusionSolar app. So here for the local commissioning, you have two interfaces. Either you use the web UI for the smart logger, or you connect your FusionSolar to the smart logger and do the commissioning through that. For the remote monitoring, dongles cannot be connected to these inverter model. So you have the only option of the smart logger 3000A. Either you can use the option of Ethernet communication with the smart logger 3000A, or the 4G feature of the smart logger. For the smart meter, again, you can refer to Annex 1. A small scale CNI application. Local commissioning FusionSolar app connects to the inverter via USB adapter 2000C. As I said initially, the 36 kilowatt and above size low voltage inverter comes with the free USB adapter, which can communicate via Wi-Fi to the FusionSolar app. So you can connect the FusionSolar app to this device. Alternatively, you can also connect the Sun 2000 app to this device for local commissioning. For the remote monitoring, in this scenario, you can have the option of using 4G dongle, and you can do the remote monitoring through that dongle device. Small scale CNI application, the same inverter which we just spoke of, the 50 and 60 kTL sizes. In this scenario, the monitoring device is only changed. It is now smart logger 3000A. In this scenario, for local commissioning, you will use the web UI interface or the FusionSolar app. For remote monitoring, you will use the Ethernet communication or the 4G feature of the smart logger. So again, if we have a small scale CNI application and we are using a 100 kTL inverter, which is the largest low voltage inverter from Huawei. In this scenario, for local commissioning, since it comes with the USB adapter free of cost, you can use that and do the local commissioning using the FusionSolar app. And for remote monitoring, in this scenario, it is shown that you can use 4G dongle, and so you have the only option of 4G communication with the FusionSolar cloud. Again, if you're using 100 kTL, but instead of the dongle, in this scenario, you are using a smart logger 3000A. So what can be the local commissioning and remote monitoring methodologies? For the local commissioning, you have the web UI interface for the smart logger. Alternatively, the FusionSolar app, which connects via Wi-Fi of the smart logger. Remote monitoring you can do for this PV plant either through the Ethernet communication or the 4G feature of the smart logger again. Again, for the power meter, the NX1 is given, so I'm not pressing on this point again. Going ahead, we have the medium scale CNI application where you will be using 10 inverters or below number. Medium scale CNI application. Here we are introducing a new terminology, master inverter, because you are using more than one inverter. So there will be one inverter as a master device. Scenario 1 is where you are using 12 to 20 kilowatt sizes. Scenario 2 is 50 and 60 kilowatt size, and the scenario 3 is 100 kVA. In scenario 1, where you're using 12 to 20 kilowatt size, the communication device is WLAN-FE or dongle 4G, or it can be also a smart logger, not mentioned. Scenario 2, 50 and 60 KTL, the communication can happen with the dongle 4G connected to master inverter, or alternatively smart logger 3000A, and smart logger 3000A itself will work as a master. Smart 100 KTL, the communication can happen with dongle 4G or smart logger 3000A. Only for the scenario 1, the smart power sensor, you have the only option to use from Huawei. But with the rest of inverter, you can refer to the relevant annex given at the end of this presentation when I will be sharing this presentation to you guys. For all the scenarios coming to the management system, you can use the FusionSolar monitoring platform. Medium scale CNI application. You can, when you are using some 2012 to 20 kilowatt as a master inverter, and you have less than or equal to 10 number of inverter, then in that scenario, since you are using 12 to 20 kilowatt as master inverter, which is compatible with the dongle, so you can connect dongle directly to this, and it will receive the data of the rest of the inverter as well, and send it when we will send the data to the FusionSolar cloud. So in this scenario, you will have a maximum of 9 inverter as slave, including the master. There will be 10 inverters. For local commissioning, you have the FusionSolar app, and for the remote monitoring, either you use the mobile application FusionSolar or the web platform sg5.fusionsolar.huawei.com. Power meter you can use from Huawei itself. Medium scale CNI application. In this scenario, the master inverter is 50 and 60 KTL, and again we are using either 10 inverter or less than 10. So here again, if you are using 50 and 60 KTL, you can connect dongle, but the only choice of dongle is 4G, because 50 and 60 are compatible only with the 4G dongle. Again, in this scenario, maximum of 9 slave inverters can be connected. Local commissioning follows our previous slide again, and here for local commissioning, you can use FusionSolar, and remote monitoring either the mobile application or the web platform. For the power meter, you can refer to the Annex 2. Medium scale CNI application, and here the master is actually smart logger 3000A, and you are using 10 or below number of inverters. In this scenario, since smart logger itself is a master, so the number of inverter connects to it is either 10 or below as a slave. Local commissioning, you can use either the web UI or the FusionSolar. And for remote monitoring, FusionSolar is common with the local commissioning, but you have the other option of web platform for monitoring. And again, a medium scale when you are using 100 KTL inverter as master inverter. So in this scenario, the number of slave inverter will be 9, and you have the only option of 4G dongle, uh, or you can also have the smart logger. But in this scenario, you have the 4G dongle. So remote monitoring can happen only through the 4G communication. Local commissioning will happen through the FusionSolar using the USB adapter which comes with the inverter. Medium scale CNI application, again, when you are using 100 KTL inverter as well, so you will have a smart logger for local commissioning, the FusionSolar and WebUI, and the remote monitoring FusionSolar and the SG5 or FusionSolar.oi.com web monitoring platform. In all these scenarios, all these inverters are getting, the slave inverters are getting daisy chained either via RS485 cable or through Ethernet cable, because the inverter supports both type of cable connection, and the data is sent to the master inverter or the smart load. Coming to the large scale CNI application, large scale is categorized as projects where you will be using more than 10 inverter, and the inverter models can be from 12 to 100 kilowatt low voltage inverter sizes. Here, the master device will be smart logger 3000A only. The slave can be any of inverter model from 12 to 100 kilowatt size. For remote monitoring, you will be using the smart logger 3000A itself, which is the master device. And smart power sensor, there is a compatible list given in the next one, as I said, you can refer to. And management system is FusionSolar. AFCI depends actually on the inverter models that you are using, but if you are using a mix of all of this, then there is not an option. Ripple control is smart over 3000A supports, and if your public authority requires to connect that, you can have the ripple control feature as well with the large scale application of CNI inverters. Okay, so large scale CNI application where you are using smart logger 3000A is master unit, and you will have less than or equal to 18 inverters. Again, here, as I said, smart logger schemes can connect up to 80 number of devices. So you have the option of connecting a maximum of 80 slave inverters. For local commissioning, WebUI software, WebUI platform can be used, and connecting to smart logger 3000 either directly or through the internet router. Alternatively, local commissioning can happen to FusionSolar app. Again, here in this scenario, in remote monitoring, again you will have two type of communication, either through the 4G feature of smart logger or the Ethernet communication. Okay. Moving forward, I will discuss now the AFCI. AFCI requirement, if you have in a certain projects, what sort of inverter you can use, and also in projects where you want partial optimization with one of your inverter, so what can be the scenario? Okay, here this table has all the inverter models which can be used as a master inverter and the slave devices. In AFCI scenario, Scenario 1, where you are using 12 to 20 kilowatt size of inverter and no slave, you have the communication option through WLAN-FE and 4G dongle, and a smart power sensor you can use from Huawei itself, and management platform is FusionSolar. Scenario 2, if you are using the 36 KTL with optional feature of AFCI, so in no slave device, you have the communication option using only 3000 A smart logger. And for power meter, refer to Annex 1, which I will be speaking at the end of this webinar. Monitoring platform FusionSolar. Scenario 3, if you need AFCI, you can again have the Sun 2100 KTL-M1, and you have the option of using smart dongle 4G. Not limited to 4G dongle in this scenario, you can also have the option of using smart logger, but that class is classified as the fifth case here in this table, which I will be discussing as well. Number 4, you have the option of using Sun 2012 to 20 KTL, but also with slave inverter. Slave inverter could be any other 12 to 20 kilowatt size, a 30 kilowatt inverter with AFCI model, or a 100 kilowatt size inverter. So communication in this scenario can happen through WLAN-FE or a 4G dongle, alternatively smart logger as well. Power sensor you can use from Huawei itself or from third party even. Management system you can use from FusionSolar. Smart logger 3000A, when you have a master inverter device, then you can have all these inverter models that support the AFCI feature, which is from 12 to 20 kilowatt, the 36 kilowatt with AFCI model, and the new version of 100 kilowatt size, which also supports the AFCI. So a smart logger itself will act as a remote monitoring device as well. Will log the data, send that to the FusionSolar cloud. Smart power sensor management system is common to the previous case. Okay, and here we are talking of CNI AFCI solution with single inverter. Then I will speak of medium CNI scenario and large scale CNI scenario with AFCI. So the first scale with a single inverter. Here it is shown that you are using a 12 to 20 kilowatt size, similar to the previous case which we have discussed. Local commissioning can be done through the built-in Wi-Fi using FusionSolar app, and remote monitoring can happen through the FusionSolar app itself or the web platform. If you have the AFCI solution requirement with the medium scale project, and you are using a 12 to 20 kilowatt size as a master inverter, in that scenario you can use a dongle, and local commissioning can happen through the FusionSolar app. Remote monitoring can happen again with the FusionSolar app or the web monitoring platform. And yeah, for the remote monitoring, either of the dongle can be used, either the WLAN-FE or the 4G dongle type. Power sensor you can use from Huawei itself. Okay, if you have an AFCI solution requirement in a CNI or the medium scale project, one option is that you have a smart logger 3000A is a master unit, and you are using less than or equal to 80 inverter. So in this scenario, you must use only those inverter models which can support the AFCI feature. As discussed, these are from 12 to 20 kilowatt size, the 36 KTL with AFCI model, and the 100 kilowatt size. So slave inverter can be up to 80 devices, 80 inverters, and local commissioning through the FusionSolar or Web UI, and remote monitoring through FusionSolar app or the web monitoring. CNI partial optimization. So partial optimization, speaking of this terminology itself, is a type of requirement in a PV project where you are using an area which is partially shaded at some time of the day, and the rest of the time it may be having adequate sunlight to generate, to actually get the benefit of sunlight and generate PV output. So in that scenarios, in order to optimize the use of space, you might use power optimizer. Power optimizer and its applications, where you want to use a space which is shaded, maybe due to a shade of nearby building, a nearby tree, or similarly considering clouds and that all, you can use the power optimizer. So in this scenario, again we have three different sections. In, we have a master inverter and a slave inverter. A master inverter can be from 12 to 20 kilowatt size in first scenario. Slave inverter in this scenario can be any of the inverters from 12 to 100 kilowatt size. Just to tell you again, the partial optimization is not the feature of all Huawei inverter models. The new inverter range of Huawei, which is coming very soon, from 12 to 20 kilowatt size, will be compatible with the power optimizers. So Huawei has 450 watt power optimizer, and you can use it with the next generation of 12 to 20 kilowatt getting introduced soon in the market. So the second scenario is 50 and 60 kTL inverter type, and so a slave inverter must include 12 to 20 kilowatt, because the partial optimization will only happen with 12 to 20 kilowatt inverter. So since 50 and 60 still doesn't support the optimizer. A smart logger 3000A, when the third scenario is a master device, and slave inverter must include at least one 12 to 20 kilowatt inverter sizes to do the partial optimization. Partial optimizer itself is 450 watt size from Huawei. I'm going ahead. Okay, so this is the first case where partial optimization is done using Sun 2012 15 17 20 kilowatt -M2 version. You are doing full optimizer. It means that all the solar PV modules connected to the master inverter or to the 12 to 20 kilowatt size inverter will have optimizers with itself, and these solar PV modules will be typically under a shade due to cloud, due to nearby building, or due to a tree, while the rest of the inverter within this scenario will not have optimizer. This is the reason it is called as partial optimization. It means part of your PV plant will have this optimizer going to 12 to the 20 kilowatt size of inverter. Since we have discussed the local commissioning and remote monitoring for this scenario, so I will skip that part. Alternatively, you can have 12 to 20 kilowatt size inverter as a slave, and the master inverter here in this scenario can be 36 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt, or a 50 and 60 kilowatt even. So here, since you are using the dongle, you will be connecting a maximum of 9 slave inverters, and one of the slave inverter would be 12 to 20 kilowatt size, on which you will be doing full optimization, while the rest of the inverter will not have power optimizer. Partial optimization when you are using smart logger, not a dongle. So the previous two cases we just spoke about was about when you are using dongle. So here in this scenario, we are using smart logger as a master device, and one of the inverter included and connected within the system is 12 to 20 kilowatt size, and you have power optimizers done to that inverter only. So local commissioning and remote monitoring is something very common with the previous application scenarios that we have spoken about. Okay, so this is the Appendix I, which we were speaking about in my slides, which encloses the compatible smart power meter for smart logger 3008. So you can see the first column is the manufacturer name, the second column is the model from that manufacturer that you can use, and the third column is the whether that power meter you can use for zero export function or not. So you can see that only SREL with model PZ96L can support zero export. Algorithm UPM209 can support zero export. Chint model DTSU666H can support the zero export. And Genetza 604 UMG multiple models can support the zero export. You can also have a SOCOMAC in your P plant and do the zero export. Appendix II, this is the list which encloses smart power meter for 50, 60 and 100 kTL when you are using 4G dongle. So you can have from Huawei itself the DTSU666H. The inverter models can be 50 or 60 kTL or 100 kTL. But Genetza is also compatible, but only with the 100 kTL version. Appendix III, this is the list of weather stations, which was not referred to in my slide, but this is just as an additional information for you guys. These are the weather station models which are pre-configured in Huawei Smart Logger. So when you are commissioning your pre-plant and you have these weather station within the system, you can just choose the model type and Smart Logger will automatically understand and map the data from the weather station and show you on the web UI, on the FusionSolar application, or the monitoring platform. So these are the full range of products that we spoke of, CNI full product portfolio, and the main features. These slides, since it will be shared with you guys, so you can also cross-reference to see what specifications, what features each of these devices encloses. These are some typical project scenarios which shows the region, the country, and the main scenario, what type of inverter is used, whether it was a rooftop or ground mount, and what DCAC ratio was used in that project, and what was Huawei's recommended solution for that particular project, and what monitoring PU platform is being used, what is the application that is used, and what was exactly the requirement from the client side. So since this presentation will you will have after this webinar, so you can refer to these typical scenarios. Again, this slide encloses these typical scenarios, and we have for Asia Pacific region as well these typical scenarios. Thank you, everyone. The presentation part is done. We will now activate the Q&A mode, and I will be answering each of the questions that is asked by clicking the question mark icon. So going to the Q&A mode. So the first question is, will you share the presentation with us? Definitely, you will get it. It will be sent as a link to your email addresses. The second question, what else can these communication devices connect to other than inverters? Example, smart meters, batteries. It depends. Actually, the inverters itself can connect only with the devices mentioned in this presentation, but the smart logger you can connect to other devices as well, such as power meter, such as analog temperature sensors, weather stations. And, yeah, if you have any specific requirement, just send it to us, and then we will see whether connectivity is possible for that device with this smart logger or not. We have question: can we do a zero injection with power meter? Yes, it is possible. And as we just spoke of the list of power meters, we also spoke of the power meters that support the zero export. So please do refer. Either use a Huawei power sensor, which can support, or use a third-party power meter, uh, which can support the zero injection to the grid. The next question: can the smart power sensor prevent power from feeding into the grid from grid tie systems? In some places, this is still not allowed by the government. So the previous question was similar to this, and the answer is yes, you can do zero export. Share with us your project scenario, and then we will advise you how you can achieve this purpose. Either you can connect a power meter directly connected to the inverter model that you're using, or you can have a smart logger and you can connect the power meter to that and do the zero export function. So it depends on what inverter model you're using and what is your project scenario time. We can advise you, and the answer is yes. Next question: at one site we are installing two number of 100 kTL and 136 kTL. Is it cause increase in AC losses? No, there is no issue of using different inverter versions in one single project scenario. And there is no AC losses because of the mix of inverter models. Does 100 kTL does not support power optimizers? Yes, 100 kTL does not support the power optimizers. Power optimizers are only compatible with the next generation of 12 to 20 kilowatt inverters. Can the inverters be compatible with any type of battery? So Huawei inverters are grid tie, the CNI inverters, and you cannot connect the CNI range of Huawei inverters with battery. But you can connect the residential range of Huawei inverters with a specific model of batteries, and for that, if you have any requirement, we can also give you further guidance on that. So all the questions are finished here. Thank you everyone for joining again this session. We will again have webinars in the future on different other topics. Right now, we will have a quick survey about this webinar itself, to see how educational it was, how well it was presented to you guys. And if you have any comment on this webinar, please give us your suggestions so that we make these webinars even better in the future. I would like to thank again to everyone who joined this presentation, requesting you to please fill up this webinar survey. See you again very soon with the next session.